So, Disney is creatively bankrupt. That's no secret. Everybody knows about it. I didn't realize Disney was creatively bankrupt until 2 years ago, where I heard they were $1 to $2 billion in debt. And that was very shocking for me to hear. But then I started seeing videos about how Disney isn't really making money in the box office. So, one day when I was bored, I decided that I would watch all 62 Disney films. So, from November 28th to December 25th, 2023, yes, I did it all in a month. I watched all 62 Disney films from their first ever movie, Snow White, to their 100th anniversary movie, Wish. And I would give my thoughts and ratings on my Instagram story to keep people updated. And to be honest, I'm gonna have to re-rate some of them because why the did I give Pocahontas a 5 out of 10? That is at least a 3. But you know, I enjoyed it. I had fun watching some of these Disney movies. But there was one Disney movie where I started to realize maybe the Disney magic really is starting to slowly die. But before we talk about that, let's talk about today's sponsorship, nothing. I'm too much of a nobody to start having sponsorships with the amount of videos I have on my channel. Are you kidding me? Now I want to clarify that I'll only be talking about Walt Disney Animation Studios because everything else, yeah, it's going to shit. We already know that. But I want to talk about the main studio that started it all specifically. So, the movie where I realized that the Disney magic is slowly starting to die was Ralph Breaks the Internet. Now, some people would say that a certain point in the 2010s was where the Disney magic slowly started to die. Some people said it was Big Hero 6, some people would say it was Zootopia, but no. Ralph Breaks the Internet is definitively where the cracks in the Disney magic started to form. I mean, like, yeah, Encanto released after the movie released, but like, it was still good, but the cracks were still there. I mean, the movies we got before Ralph Breaks the Internet release was stuff like Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Winnie the Pooh, the first Wreck-It Ralph movie, Frozen, Big Hero 6, Zootopia, Moana. We got banger after banger after banger, but as soon as Ralph Breaks the Internet comes out, we slowly start seeing the cracks form. Okay, let's put this into perspective, specifically my perspective. I've been watching Disney films ever since I was 4 years old. The first movie I ever watched was Princess and the Frog when it came to cable. And then I watched Tangled. And then I watched the first Wreck-It Ralph movie. And then I watched Big Hero 6. I would watch some of the older Disney films. I would watch Zootopia. And I would watch Moana. But it wasn't until the day Ralph Breaks the Internet came out. I was about 13 years old. And I went to go see this movie with my dad and my brothers. When I saw this movie when I was 13, I knew that I didn't like something about this movie. I didn't want to stay until the end to finish this movie. I wanted to leave, but I stuck it out. So I didn't know why I wanted to leave. I didn't know the reason why I didn't like this movie when I was 13 years old.
It wasn't until I was 18 years old rewatching this movie that I realized, yo, this is ass!
This movie doesn't even feel like a sequel. It feels like its own movie because Ralph and Vanellope are written way out of character than what they were. At the end of the movie, Vanellope leaves her game for a new one, which, if you watch the first movie, that's a bad thing, because if you do that, then your game is going to get unplugged, and that probably is going to kill multiple people in her game. They use very outdated internet jokes, and it shows its age. And oh my god, the pandering, the corporate pandering they do in this movie. Look, we got Marvel, we got Star Wars, the Disney princesses, baby Groot. Oh my god, I get it. This doesn't feel like a sequel to Wreck-It Ralph. This feels like an advertisement for the internet if it was a movie. And not only that, this movie is 2 hours and 1 minute long. Let me say it again. 2 hours and 1 minute long. I was not going to sit there for that long of a period for this movie. Because you want to know what I did when I was watching this movie? Whenever there was a scene I didn't like, I literally got up, went out of my room, got something to eat, went back, saw it was still going, went out of my room, waited for it to end, and then went back in my room to finish watching the movie. I was not going to sit there for that amount of time with stuff I hated looking at. And then we get to the next film. Now we all know Frozen. Frozen was a global hit. It got $1 billion in the box office. It was the greatest hit Disney ever made since The Lion King. This movie came out in 2013 with me thinking it came out in 2015 because of how much I kept seeing it around toy stores, advertisement, you name it all. And so, I never watched Frozen, even when the movie first came out. Whenever it was in theaters, I never went to go see it. When people had it on their TVs, never went to see it. When people were reacting to the movie on YouTube, never saw it. So I didn't watch Frozen until 10 years later after it released.
Hey, hi, editing James here. I want to clarify that my only reference of Frozen was Kingdom Hearts 3, and that was in 2022. So that should put into perspective how long it's been. So let's continue with the video, I guess.
When I was doing the Disney movie marathon. And I liked it. I'm very 50-50 on it. Because I like the visuals, I like the songs. I have my issues with the story and the characters themselves. So I gave it like a 5 out of 10. I like the movie, but I would never rewatch it. Frozen 2. I literally rated Frozen 2 one rating below Frozen 1. I gave Frozen 2 a 4 out of 10 because I didn't know what was going on throughout the entire movie. And it feels like the writers didn't know what was going on throughout the entire movie because it feels like they were just putting things together but couldn't figure out what the ending would be. And to be honest, I'm not even joking. Go watch the Frozen 2 documentary, and what I just said is basically how this movie was developed. So this just solidified to me that Disney doesn't know how to make a good sequel. During the Disney movie marathon, I watched Rescuers Down Under, and I gave it a 4 out of 10. A rating below original Rescuers. I gave that one a 5 out of 10 because it was nothing special. I enjoyed it. But with Rescuers Down Under, I couldn't really get engaged by it. Only like the first half was interesting, and then once we got to Australia, I lost interest. So with Rescuers Down Under being boring to me, Ralph Breaks the Internet sucking, and Frozen 2 being whatever it was, it just solidified to me that Disney doesn't know how to make a good sequel. And to be honest, Disney should have known that themselves when they were doing those direct-to-DVD sequels. Then there was Raya and the Last Dragon. Look, I don't really want to talk about Raya and the Last Dragon. A lot of videos already talk about it enough, and I already gave my thoughts on it. I gave it a 6 out of 10, though I might have to change that rating. But it wasn't until I think it was 2020 where there was this small ray of hope. The small ray of hope that maybe the Disney magic isn't dead. That small ray of hope was Encanto. I will say this. Encanto is such a beautiful Disney film. It has amazing characters, an amazing story, and some of the most beautiful visuals I have seen. So that begs the question, where was the marketing for this movie? I'm not even kidding. The only reason why I found out about Encanto is because somebody posted a clip of We Don't Talk About Bruno on TikTok. And I was like, oh, that movie seems interesting. And I went to go watch the movie. I saw zero marketing for this movie by Disney. And the only way I found out about it was that TikTok clip. And I think that's one of the problems of Disney. They don't market their animated movies that well anymore. And if you think I'm lying, ever heard of Strange World? The first time I have ever heard about Strange World was in 2021 when I was in high school. I saw a teaser for this movie and all I could think about was, who is this Luigi looking ass dude? And then I went on about my day. The second time I found out about this movie, Shafe Rillis did a video ranking every single Walt Disney animated movie in 2022. The same year the movie came out. So basically the marketing of this movie is just not good. And to be honest, even if the marketing was good, this movie is just so generic. The story is basically following the same story beats as Encanto. And, you know, for a movie called Strange World, this is the most bland world I have ever seen. Like, your movie is literally called Strange World. This is your opportunity to be the most creative you could ever be. And then there's Wish. Look, I don't even want to talk about Wish. Wish is literally the most disappointing 100th anniversary movie I have ever seen. Because Wish doesn't feel like a celebration of past Disney films. It feels like, look at what we made the movie. And that's all it is. I mean, just look up all the reviews of Wish and you would get all my opinions of this movie. Like, how is your concept of the movie better than the actual movie? It doesn't make sense. And this brings me to the point of the video. The reason why the Disney magic is slowly dying and why the cracks are starting to form is because Disney has gotten too safe. Let me paint the picture. Creativity is something that exists in every human being. It makes you want to do something that seems impossible to others. But with enough willpower, and if you're willing to take the risk, the impossible can seem possible. But if you start to add safety locks to that creativity, you start to become more safe, more grounded, and it looks possible, which can make it look uncreative. What I'm trying to say is, Disney has gotten too safe with its creativity. And the reason why I say this is because throughout the entire video, I've complained about every single movie except for one. And that one movie I didn't complain about was Encanto. Because Encanto felt like something new. It felt like something fresh. It felt like something we never seen before in a Disney movie. Because it took that risk. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Disney itself was made on a risk. Back in 1927, Disney made a character called Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, but that character was taken away from him. So, with the help of his brother, Roy O. Disney, and of iWorks, he decided to make his own company, and ended up creating Mickey Mouse, who became a global sensation. Walt Disney then had the idea of creating an hour-long feature-length animated movie, and it was going to be the first of its kind. But people around him said it was a bad idea. Even people who were outside of the Walt Disney Studios said it was a bad idea and was thinking it was going to be Disney's falling, meaning they thought he was going to fail. But even when Walt Disney was about to go bankrupt, he still found a way to make the film and release it, and it became the biggest hit of its time, winning an Oscar and 7 little Oscars alongside it. That would have never happened if Walt Disney never took the risk of making that film. And even after Snow White and after Walt Disney's death, Disney have always taken risks with their films. And yeah, some of them are very in the middle, but they have lived through the test of time because they took that risk, because they had that creativity. That is the reason why they became so timeless. And modern Walt Disney Animation Studios aren't taking risks anymore. They're being safe, which is why their movies come out as boring. Animation isn't something where you can just play it safe and expect something good out of it. Animation is where you let your creative juices run free so that both you and the audience can watch something you enjoy. And that's something the higher-ups at Disney don't understand. This company wasn't made by being safe. It was made by taking risks and doing the impossible. I mean, if this company was made by being safe, then we wouldn't get stuff like Snow White, Pinocchio, Bambi, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, the Disney Renaissance, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet, Princess and the Frog, Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, and Frozen. These movies weren't created by being safe. The reason why you're losing billions of dollars is because you're putting a lock on creative freedom. Well, that and you know, like multiple companies too. That's also the case. But that's besides the point. You can't put a lock on creative freedom, because if you do, you end up with like Wish and Moana 2. And no, I'm not watching Moana 2. I've already heard that it's not that good. So yeah, that is my discussion or rant on modern Walt Disney Animation Studios. I mainly wanted to talk about Walt Disney Animation Studios because that's the literal origin of Disney, and it's something I have more of a connection with than the other studios. So yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about today. Make sure to tell me what you guys think about modern Walt Disney and how you feel they can change, or how you feel about it currently. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow me on my socials in the link in the description below, and I'll see you all next video.